I rarely consume fast food, but I do treat myself during extended road trips. My spouse usually prepares numerous nutritious treats for herself, like yogurts, grain-based salads, apples, energy bars, and so on. I prefer McDonald's. She insists the meals are awful, yet always craves a handful of fries and winds up consuming half or more. She constantly rejects eating that much and maintains she only took a couple. During the journey in question, about 2 weeks back, it involved her, me, and my adolescent son, Nick. My wife required a restroom, so we stopped at an exit with a McDonald's. My son and I went to purchase takeout while she used the facilities. I inquired if she desired anything, as I routinely do, and she declined, but added that she'd grab a few of your fries. My standard choice at McDonald's is the $5, though it's often $6 now in many locations, combo deal which comes with a McDouble, 4 McNuggets, a small portion of fries, and a beverage. There's ample food for me. It would remain sufficient even if my wife grabbed a few or a couple of fries. I enjoy McDonald's fries, but I save them for the end because, although I don't object if they're not steaming hot, I favor the other items while they're still warm. I'm certain some might suggest simply purchasing extra fries, despite her stating she wants nothing. I've attempted that. I ordered a medium for myself and handed her the small from the combo, but a medium fry costs nearly $4 and exceeds $4 including tax. That's increasing the meal's expense by over 60%. And whenever I've done this, she adamantly refuses to touch the fries since I instructed you not to buy any for me. So now I've ended up with a small fry and a medium fry to consume alone, which I can manage. But it feels wasteful to spend an additional $4 when I was completely satisfied with the initial quantity of food. In any case, on this occasion, I informed my son I wished to conduct a test. I instructed him, once we obtained our food and returned to the vehicle, to remove all his items, take my burger and pass it to me, and hold my McNuggets in the rear seat, ensuring the only item remaining in the bag was my fries. To be fair, a small fry at McDonald's isn't a large amount, but it usually contains at least 20 to 30 fries. I directed him to place the bag with the fries on the center console between my wife's seat and mine. He should prepare his phone to record a video of the bag from the back seat, which would continue until I signaled him to halt. I explained that I wouldn't reach into the bag at any point, and I forecasted that his mother would devour all my fries. As expected, while we drove, I consumed my burger engaged in casual conversation, observed my wife's hand dip into the bag multiple times, requested my son for my McNuggets. I ate those. For the record, I consumed them without sauce, so no spills in the car. Continued chatting, all while grinning inwardly as I noticed my wife's hand return to the bag several more times. Eventually, she said, "All right, pass me your trash," and began placing it into the McDonald's bag. I asked, "What are you up to?" And she replied, "Tidying up." I stated I still have to eat my fries. And she responded, "We finished them all, dear." I'll confess I exaggerated my reaction somewhat intentionally, dramatically exclaiming in disbelief, "What do you mean we finished them all? I haven't touched any." To clarify, I wasn't genuinely angry. This was the outcome I anticipated regardless, but I pretended to be upset while holding back chuckles. She said, "Stop being ridiculous. I only took a couple." I reiterated that I hadn't eaten a single fry and that I possessed video proof to demonstrate it. She asked, "What do you mean?" And I answered that Nick had recorded a video of the last 20 minutes or so. "You won't see me remove any fries from that bag. So if they're completely gone, it's because you consumed them all." And she exploded at me and him in a manner I didn't foresee, shouting about recording without permission, as though I'd created a secret intimate video or something seriously wrong like that. Yelling at Nick for participating in your dad's silly jokes and such. I explained to her that I simply wanted her to realize she consumes more of my food than she acknowledges. And this explains why I'd rather just order her a separate portion of fries so we can both savor our meals without any bitterness. She never viewed the video, though I believe she now accepts that she did indeed eat all the fries. Nevertheless, she's been giving me the silent treatment and even worse, mistreating our son, losing her temper at him over minor issues that never troubled her previously. For the past 2 weeks, demanding an apology for recording her, I suppose. I believed this was an innocent method to prove a point. Am I the fool for recording my wife eating all my fries to demonstrate something? Not the fool. You explored other approaches, including discussing it with her, so presenting her with what was occurring was fair. She's a particularly massive fool for mistreating your son because of it. I'd recommend suggesting she remove the fries she desires initially, then seal the bag and shift it to your opposite side. That could have still irritated her, but at least this way she's out of denial. Years ago, I informed my wife that the manner she speaks to me for a considerable period is impolite and harsh, and she didn't trust me. Somehow, the voicemail system captured her conversing with me, and we discovered the recording later while checking messages. She said, "Hold on, I really sound like that?" I confirmed yes, quite often. She appeared clearly embarrassed and began improving her interaction style, which improved. In summary, sometimes individuals require objective proof because they're too focused on defending their pride to accept feedback from another person. If only Opai's wife were mature enough to handle this. Opai, I think what you did is totally amusing. Your wife doesn't want to confront the reality. She can still devour McDonald's fries without issue. You were her cover for eating the fries that permitted her to maintain her healthy mom, wellness-focused phase. The video proof shattered everything. This precisely, haha. She was existing in the I'm fit illusion, haha. Opai's wife was aware she ate all the fries. That's why she's so angry, because when it was merely her statement versus his, she could preserve some sort of ethical superiority in her mind. And she was irritated because she was exposed. Did she express regret for eating all the fries or just justify herself? Did she apologize to her son? I'm worried about Opai's future because a responsible adult would identify their actions as troublesome. She's simply a terrible person. My wife, 37, and I, 38 male, come from two distinct backgrounds. I'm from Europe and my wife is from the Middle East. We reside in Canada. My birthday occurred 2 evenings ago. My wife purchased me a small cake, my preferred type from my favorite shop. My mother-in-law was at our house for supper. We sliced the cake and following the meal, my wife went to settle our infant for sleep. I was meant to drive my mother-in-law to my sister-in-law's residence. Mother-in-law took the remaining cake in its container to bring along. I questioned if she was taking the leftover cake, and she affirmed yes for my sister-in-law and her child. I mentioned, but that's my favorite cake and I hope to enjoy the remainder tomorrow. She appeared deeply offended and stated that I'd already eaten cake, and that I was being stingy because I was denying the cake to a preschooler. I said, okay, take the cake. After I returned, I informed my wife, and she explained it's a cultural practice. You must share the cake, and I was discourteous and owe my mother-in-law an apology since I upset her. Am I the fool for refusing to apologize and believing I merit the leftover cake? Edit, it was a small 6-inch cake. The remainder was roughly half the cake. She could have simply sliced a portion for him. No justification for taking the entire cake, and it's your birthday, not the kid's, so why is he entitled to cake anyway? Not the fool. It's strange that she assumed entitlement to the whole thing. Odd. Grabbing the entire leftover cake is improper etiquette in any society. Mother-in-law inquiring if she could take a tiny slice for her grandchild is fully reasonable, but claiming the whole leftovers for the wider family is simply rude, and then manipulating him for being distressed about it. Opai, it seems your wife should purchase you another cake and say sorry to Opai. The highlight here is that your wife knew about the custom and the one who acquired the cake. She is the fool here. She ought to have bought a larger cake, aware it was your favorite. I suspect that a larger cake wouldn't change things. Opai's mother-in-law would still claim the rest of it. Also, I know many individuals from the Middle East. They would be shocked by this tale, so I'm uncertain which culture she's referring to. Actually, it appears the reverse. People from the Middle East are often very hospitable culturally. I've witnessed arguments over who pays the check. I'm weary of folks like the mother-in-law committing lousy acts and concealing behind cultural variances. My husband, 32 male, lately informed me that he established a $1 million life insurance plan. Now, I've been urging him to do this since our marriage. Not for such a large sum, but I was pleased when he mentioned he did. I found it peculiar that he didn't invite me to accompany him when he set it up, so we could have handled it jointly. When I questioned why he proceeded without me, he said he could arrange a meeting with his contact, as he described it, so I could establish one. I posed basic inquiries, and when he revealed the beneficiary was his 63-year-old father who resides in India, I was surprised. I felt somewhat wounded that he didn't consider including me or his children whatsoever. He proceeded to explain he must ensure he cares for them, and he knows I won't provide any financial aid to them if something happens to him, since he and his younger brother have been supporting their parents financially, plus their sister, who is unemployed, her spouse, who is unemployed, and their 2 children. We set up a policy together upon marrying, but he terminated it without me 1 year into the marriage, claiming it was an ill sign. I have requested him periodically to create a new one, but he declined, stating he didn't require one. We eventually had 2 kids, and I started pressing him further, and he just recently said his friend had created one, so he did as well. He holds a solid position as he manages his own company. I remain at home with the children, a young elementary student and a preschooler, since that's what he prefers. He oversees all money matters. He has a distinct account arranged where I have all our expenses on automatic payment. However, I can't access that account, as I'm not listed on it. Whenever I need to purchase food or similar items, he provides me his debit card but requests it back immediately after I finish. I never minded it because ultimately everything is covered and the kids have their necessities. When he disclosed he designated his father, who lives in India, as the beneficiary, it pained my emotions. He accused me of only caring about funds and being self-centered. I should prioritize the people who nurtured him, and if I require anything or an incident occurs, his younger brother, 25 male, would support me. I don't want another man to support me. I understand that in my husband's culture, they usually prioritize their parents and assist them financially, but I sense my husband and our children are always secondary. My query is, am I the fool for feeling somewhat hurt that he chose to do that without consulting me first? He mentioned he'll include me eventually, but his father will forever be the primary beneficiary. Utilize that card to pull out cash each outing. Establish an account under your name. Purchase additional items to return for cash to deposit in the account. He's deprived you of the years you could have developed a profession and will abandon you penniless with 2 children. He's declared this. Trust him and begin safeguarding yourself immediately. Even superior, secure employment now. You are in significant danger of being left destitute with kids. Consult women's support centers regarding resources. You are experiencing financial, psychological, and emotional mistreatment. You require assistance now. This is an extremely precarious situation, and you have an obligation to yourself to guarantee a stable base without depending on another. I concur with this. Must resume working and generate her own income, though perhaps she needs to end the marriage first to obtain half of his possessions and savings. My mom wed a guy who vowed to support her, and he did the contrary. Hubby's an idiot. Op's a larger idiot if she stays wed to this repulsive fool. He's not an idiot. He's rather clever. Discovered an 18-year-old, turned her into a homemaker fully reliant on him, and has her so strictly managed from such an early age that she doesn't even recognize she's being mistreated. Now he can act as he pleases, and what can she do? Op is not the fool and must achieve financial autonomy and leave promptly because circumstances will only deteriorate. I, male 30, am recently betrothed. My fiancée, female 30, and I have been a couple for 2 years, and we both sense preparedness for the subsequent phase. We don't desire a grand ceremony. We both originate from large families, and we don't wish to handle the expenses and the hassle of organizing a massive gathering. We intend to visit City Hall and complete the necessary documents. We would ask my parents, my sister, my brother-in-law, my fiancée's father and sister, and 2 of my friends since they introduced me and my fiancée. Afterward, we'd all dine out. We don't want any additional wedding elements or any sort of party. When my elder sister wed 3 years back, I was grateful I was posted in another nation. I was in the Royal Canadian Air Force then. She had a lavish, costly wedding, which is typical in our family, but viewing it via live stream was sufficient for me. I developed a headache just from hearing about the preparations indirectly. My fiancé and I don't want that pressure. I assumed my family would object to us not holding a big wedding or only inviting my parents, sister, and brother-in-law. But my sister became distressed because she desired to be my fiancé's maid of honor. We aren't having a maid of honor or best man or bridal group at all. Even if we were, my fiancée would prefer her own sister as maid of honor, not my sister. My sister also believed she would receive a unique position in the wedding as the groom's sister, which isn't standard as far as I know. I've never observed it at any wedding I've attended. For complete transparency, my sister has ADHD, and along with that she has rejection-sensitive dysphoria. She interprets rejection very personally, and even though my parents arranged therapy for her previously, she still reacts strongly when she perceives rejection, even if it hasn't truly happened. I informed her my fiancé, and I aren't including a wedding party or a ceremony where others have distinctive roles. She feels dismissed, and now my parents, my brother-in-law and other relatives are urging me to reconsider. Am I the fool for informing my sister and everyone else that I don't care if she feels dismissed and won't alter anything about the wedding? Yeah, it's frustrating to have everything center on my sister's emotions constantly. I don't believe it's incorrect for me and my fiancé to want our wedding focused on us. Rather than assigning my sister the position of maid of honor or groom's sister and allowing her to be the focus as she desires. My parents and my brother-in-law are the primary culprits, and I ultimately told them and all others who pressured me that I'm finished discussing this and to never raise it again. Am I the fool for this? I simply want to conduct my wedding as my fiancé, and I envision it. But my family has never been so agitated with me over anything else before, so I question if I went too far. Not the fool, and I suggest telling your parents, sister, and brother-in-law that if they mention it again, then none of them will attend the modest event you have arranged. You'll just run off and have arbitrary witnesses. That ought to quiet them. It's not your responsibility to handle your sister's psychological condition. ADHD is not a psychological condition. She's neurodivergent. Nonetheless, she must learn to control her emotions. Her parents and family should provide her suitable assistance for that purpose. In my view, everyone's the fool here. I have RSD too, and I cannot fathom ever telling anyone that I believe I should participate in their wedding. Can't fault you for wanting the wedding you prefer, but stating you don't care about your younger sister's mental health problems is unnecessarily harsh. You could have retained that thought internally instead of voicing it. This isn't even related to her ADHD or RSD. This concerns her being privileged and narcissistic. She's accustomed to having her way to prevent distressing her, and now she's become someone who wants to make everything about herself. That's not her ADHD. That's her self-importance. I'm assuming she didn't appoint Opai's fiancé as her maid of honor, so it's amusing that she anticipates it for herself.